Final declarations are now through for the £92,000 the winner Shadwell Fillies Mile, which is run on Friday afternoon at Newmarket, and a small but select field have been nominated to go forward. 7 of them will go to post, headed by the Ed Dunlop-trained Amazonas. Certify will represent Mahmoud Al-Zaruni and Mikel Barcelona, bidding to give Godolphin their 3rd straight win in this race, having won it in 2010 with White Moonstone and last year with Lyric of Light. Discernible will be the mount of Sylvester Sousa, and he'll be riding for Mark Johnston. Massara will be for Tom Queally and Clive Britton. The unbeaten Ollie Olga for Mick Shannon and Martin Harley. Roz for Jim Crowley and Harry Dunlop. And Winsilly for William Buick and John Gosden will round out the field of 7. Here's how Sky Bet bet on it, and it is even money. That Certify will give Godolphin their hat-trick in this race, and she will maintain her 100% record at 4 out of 4. Ollie Olga also unbeaten at 11 to 4, Winsilly at 7 to 1, Roz at 8, 12 to 1 Discernible, 14 to 1 bar those. Richard and I are now going to take a look at 1 or 2 galloping clues for you, and obviously we will start with the favourite. Let's take a look at Certify. And Certify winning here, the Group 3 Sweet Solera at Newmarket, on good to firm ground. Of course, since then she's gone and won the Group 2 Mayhill at Doncaster.
Yes, I saw her debut and she was very, very impressive. And she's followed the pattern that Godolphin's best fillies normally follow, the Sweet Solera, and then on to Doncaster, where she was given a fright. She was given a fright by Puralong. She was confidently ridden, and Puralong got a little bit of momentum in the Mayhill, and she had to battle hard to run her down. And that might have done her the world of good, because she's got involved in a battle and come out on top. But she is very short. And, you know, if you take the lines that Puralong seemingly ran a career best by quite a long way, had obviously run well in France before, but nonetheless, you know, for me, Certify is worthy favourite, but similarly, no world beater on what you saw at Doncaster. Not head and shoulders above them the way that maybe you were talking, you know, White Moonstones and horses like that. Yeah. That were. She might put the record straight and show that Puralong ran really well at Doncaster. The 2 did pull a long way clear. But it wasn't the smooth progression that there had been to that point, given that you're taking such a short price.
And therefore, is the Godolphin record in this race factored into that price at the moment? Is it more human form rather than horse flesh form at the moment? You
could argue that's been the case for her previous 2 victories as well, in the sense that she was 4 to 6 in the Mayhill, she was 11 to 8 in the Sweet Solera, just off the back of an impressive maiden win, it has to be said. She has stepped forward each time. It just depends what you believe that the Mayhill, whether Puralong has run really well. The 2, as I say, did pull clear. She did have a fight, but she wasn't imperiously head and shoulders above them. And just in a couple of instances, I think there are a couple who might be able to progress and, as a result, could prove worthy adversaries, at least given the market.
I'll give you one more question on Certified before we move on. You and I were both at Newmarket for this meeting last year, and I remember I don't do a lot of meetings at Newmarket at all, particularly on the Rolling Mile, and I was amazed. I'd forgotten how many horses don't act even going to post. I really was shocked how many horses you could just get, no, that won't win, no, that won't win. And I just wonder with her, the fact, and having looked at that tape again, that she just seemed to be a horse who handles undulations quite well, and maybe the flat track at Doncaster didn't play to her strengths.
Well, I think Mikel gave her an overconfident ride a bit at Doncaster, because Puralong came from last and Mikel had everything around him covered. And I won't say he was showboating, but clearly he thought, I've got them covered. Puralong got a bit of momentum up on the outside and did go half a length up. And so I think it was more the tactics of the race, whereas Mikel, when he won on the past, picked her up, got some momentum. That was the point of her debut, was she hit the line so well. She didn't really appear to be going obviously well at halfway, and yet inside the final furlong, she really, I remember saying, pointing her toes, she really stretched out. And maybe he won't make that mistake again, and maybe that will also elicit, you know, a smoother response from her, because she was just for 100 yards. You know, and even at the end, I mean, she only won narrowly. She only, you can argue, if Martin hadn't pulled his stick through on the second, he had to because he was leaning. That's when the battle was lost. But late on. So it'll be interesting to see what that means Puralong is worth, based on if Certified routes this lot, then that's fine. But there are a couple in here. One who's got a winning mentality without being flash, and one who was unlucky last time and could be good. I think.
Well, let's take a look at the one who's got the winning mentality. She's also a perfect 3 from 3. She's called Ollie Olga. She's a daughter of... actually, who is she a daughter of? I can't remember.
Stormy Atlantic. Funny at the side.
Right.
I don't know
Yes,
much about,
right.
I have to admit.
No, that's probably why I forgot who she was by. She's 3 out of 3. Here we can see her. She's winning the Prestige Stakes at Goodwood. This was on good to soft ground. And, of course, she beats another of the runners on Friday. Amazonas back into 3rd on this occasion.
Sky Lantern is the common denominator with the form because Ollie Olga beats her by half a length here and had been beaten a length behind Certify in the Sweet Solera. Ollie Olga's just a battling little filly, really, and she won first time. Not too many mixed do win first time, and when they do, it's often worth noting. And she did that pretty comfortably. And then she stepped forward to beat the well-touted Rocky Ground, who all Newmarket were barking around. And again, it was just a race where you watch it and think, oh, yeah, she's knuckled in and she's done quite well, but, you know, you're left with that taste. It was an outsider one race. She again was sent off at 12-1. And then she's gone and done it again, and then Sky Lantern's gone over to France and won a Group 1, which probably flatters her a little bit. But, yeah, she just keeps... She's one you wouldn't, you know, in the trenches type horse. If it comes to a little fight, a scrapper. Now, I'm calling her little. She might not be that little. I haven't actually seen her in the flesh, but it's that sort of knuckles down, finds a way to win, got to win, turn a foot, come from the back, you know, twice, and then held off a rival who was coming at her. Likeable attitude. May just lack the class.
Yeah, she is a horse, I think, who... I mean, she doesn't like horses going past her, we can see that, and she has a great attitude. I just wonder whether she is very much the 2-year-old. And I think what you see is what you get with her. I don't think there's much down the line with her, but... You know, it'll take a good one to get past her, particularly if she's in front with about a furlong and a half to go. When they come out of the dip, she's going to be very hard to pass.
They've ridden her back twice and then slightly further forward at Goodwood. My worry is whether, you know, the way Certify finished that day, she'd like it to be a brawl, messy, tigerish, that sort of thing. If it's all Rolls-Royce, he goes through the gears, then I don't think that's really her. She's the Demolition Derby Ford Escort, last one still moving without being rude to her. You know, that's her. That's that for me and what I've seen. But she wins. And that, from a punter's point of view, when you're getting a bigger price, is potentially significant. She's not been missed in the market, though. And I'm sure that's because of the lines through Sky Lantern. Everyone's thinking, well, there's not that much between the front two. Not sure whether that is slightly misleading. But she's a very, very likeable filly.
Let's take a look now at a horse by Teofilio. She's called Roz. We're going to take a look at a galloping clue from Sandown Park for you. And this was on good to firm ground. It came at the end of July. Roz, of course, representing Harry Dunlop. Jim Crowley will have the call.
And the key point about this is it features Per Along. Per Along's in this field in red and yellow. Now, many people put Roz's victory down to the fact that it was a steadily run race and they charged away. And as a result, you know, nothing really quite got involved. The horse of David Simcox, who finished 4th, got well beaten at Doncaster. And this is where the Per Along factor comes in, because Per Along's just going up and down there in 3rd place and isn't really making a great deal of impression. But in actual fact, Roz has now twice run away from a field at a big price. And whilst undoubtedly she's very happy just to set the run, there's no doubt if you get her to the 2 furlong pole with a length break, you know, even if you think you're going well in behind, this filly has got to turn her foot. Now, she was taken out of the race at Doncaster because of the ground, which wasn't ever really soft, but it was just bordering on the soft side. She would really like a good drying couple of days, because I think speed is her main attribute.
She's also very spindly. She's very sparely made, isn't she?
So as a result, you know, when the prices she's been sent off in her career, 20s, 40s, 28s, and she finished last, first up at Salisbury, where she missed the start, the soft ground. She made a move in the middle of the race, but got bogged down. But she is capable. She is a potential knockout, but this time she's 10-1 in a group race. That's a little bit different. But so the key interesting point there, from the point I was trying to make about Certify, is that Per Along is in that line and didn't look a world beater that day. Now, Per Along has improved, definitely, but, you know, you are talking about the 5-4 favourite Certify getting a fright from Per Along.
How do you think she'll handle the undulations? I'm not sure about her.
Well, you could level Salisbury as being possible, but I think it was more she missed the start. Sandown, they didn't really quicken until so late. No. That's probably what Jim Crowley would be hoping to do, is sit for so long at a even pace that she's not actually stretching, whilst the undulations are happening. And whether you can sit that long in that race, that might be questionable. But if she does, and they all think, you know, oh, she'll come back, or look at her and think, well, she's tiny, then she's Certified could be beaten by two different types of tiny filly, really. I think Ollie Olga's the scrapper who would like them to go quick. Ros is the one that could disappear. And you find all of a sudden you're struggling to get her back. She probably has only got a move that lasts a furlong and a half, but it's quite a good move.
And of course we know this is a track that can be very dangerous, particularly in two-year-old races. If you get a lead, they can be very difficult to pay back.
If she did handle the descent into the dip and used that to her advantage, and all of a sudden Certified doesn't hand. Yes, that's right. Exactly. You know, then your point about Newmarket's well made. If you can quicken two out and handle the track, then you're quite dangerous. And there are sets of circumstances, but I think they're differing tempo ones. I think Ollie Olga would like it to go quick. Ros's case, she's got to boss it and stay, you know, use that speed a furlong and a half out, not 3 out. She won't get home otherwise.
OK, let's take a look at our final galloping clue then with regard to the Fillies Mile. And this comes from the Newmarket July course. It's a horse called Win Silly, who runs in the colours of Prince Khalid Abdullah. She represents William Buick and John Gosden. And this is her winning debut on good to firm ground. She has since, of course, been beaten as favourite on her second and only subsequent start.
Which was a nightmare for her. Steadily run race, held up, met some trouble, got a bump from one of Godolphin's rivals, and to me was clearly the best horse on the day. I think she is the one that is the potential move forward horse. She's won this comfortably without the jockey really going for much. She's well on top at the line. The question mark is, even if she had won that conditions race, is that form, you know, going to be good enough? But she really was a good thing beaten that day. It was a messy race. Godolphin's lovely pass won it. Very similar circumstances to how the Godolphin had won it the previous year when Kieran Fallon kicked 2 out and caught them all napping. And it was it's worth remembering, it's round the turn, it's not the straight, so she was back. It just all went wrong. And William Buick's back aboard. Well, he's aboard for the first time.
Yeah, Rap Haviland's
yes,
last time.
And I think she's the one who has the big potential to move forward. She's the one that I don't think you've seen anything like the best of yet. The rest, they've all been winning. They've all been winning comfortably. And she, in a place, is 10 to 1, and she's better than Ros, and I think she's better than Ollie Olga going forward. And it wouldn't be a surprise if she showed that. As long as they go apace, as long as she doesn't get, you know. But I think William probably, it's not round the turn. You've got a few more options. You can make your ground when you want to. When you're back in a steadily run race round the turn, not much you can do about it, really, is there? Because you've got to go wide to compromise your position. He then got a bump just as she was picking up. And, yeah, I think she's interesting. I think she's potentially the bet in the race, I think.
She's by Dan Silly. She's got Pivotal on the bottom side. I've watched the tape a couple of times, and even just watching it just now, I'm a little confused by it. I'm not sure whether it's her markings or whether she actually does have a little bit of a knee action. Particularly, she does seem to really hit the ground hard with her near side 4. And I just wonder whether she's run twice on good to firm ground. I just think that, like you, actually a little bit of cut will not be against her in any shape or form.
Pivotal's just a solid sire right the way through on all sorts of ground. Dan Silly is probably more of an influence for it being quick. It might be that because she's quite a big filly, she is one that the dip has an impact, but the Early Mile, the July course has got its fair degree of undulations, and she certainly handled that pretty smoothly. I think she's very interesting, and I don't think there's as much between her, particularly at Skyblower Sevens. But you say if you shop around, there are bigger prices. That I think it's a comparable price to Ros. I think she is a fair bit better than Ros, and potentially I'd have her sort of the Ollie Olga category, sort of 9 to 2 chance, and she's got to take a step forward even from Ascot. But if you watch the Ascot race again, you're just left with the impression that she just never got a chance to show you what she could do. She was beginning to wind up around the outside, and she got the nudge, and it just all went wrong.
But it's given her ring craft, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely.
I know you and I agree very much on this. Actually, I quite like to see a horse maybe get beaten once, because it makes and particularly I love a horse, if they do win first time out, lose the next time, they've had to have a bit of a scrap, things have gone wrong, they learn so much that the third time can often be the charm. That can be the optimum performance, and I like that about her.
Eddie Fremantle always says that he likes horses to win, ugly early on in their careers, and I mean, you could argue that Certify, that's the thing for him. He won ugly last time, or she won ugly last time. So will she pick it up and learn from it? But I just think that from a betting point of view, all of you just go back and watch the Win City race again, and you'll see that there is potential there. Whether she's good enough to make that big leap, but it's worth risking at that sort of price, I think.
Win Silly then could be the value in the Fillies Mile. It's due off at 2:55 on Friday.